Hello, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to discuss a rapidly developing situation that has placed Belarus at the center of global attention. Reports suggest that President Alexander Lukashenko, who has ruled Belarus for nearly 3 decades, may be losing control faster than ever before. Claims of internal power struggles, military defections, and growing unrest within the country have raised serious questions about the future of Belarus and whether a revolution is now inevitable. In this video, we will break down the latest reports, international reactions, military dynamics, and what might happen next. Stay with us until the end for a complete understanding of this situation. For years, Lukashenko maintained a firm grip on Belarus through a strong security apparatus, political repression, and close ties with Russia. However, new developments suggest that his hold on power is weakening. According to multiple sources connected to Belarusian opposition groups and independent journalists in Eastern Europe, a wave of quiet but significant resistance has begun inside the military ranks. Reports indicate that units within the Belarusian army have started refusing orders, particularly those linked to supporting Russia's operations in Ukraine. Some military officers are reportedly defecting or abandoning their posts, choosing instead to align with anti-government groups. These defections, though denied by official state media, are being widely discussed across Belarusian online communities, Telegram channels, and independent media outlets. The political crisis in Belarus did not start overnight. It has been simmering since the contested 2020 presidential election, where Lukashenko claimed victory in a vote that many international observers said was rigged. Mass protests erupted across the country, and thousands of opposition supporters were detained. The government responded with extreme force, leaving a deep atmosphere of fear. Yet despite heavy repression, many Belarusians never stopped resisting. Underground political activity grew, and with time, opposition networks expanded globally. Today's wave of unrest appears to be the revival of that earlier uprising, but much more organized and far more determined. A major trigger for the current tension is Lukashenko's unwavering support for Russia. Despite claiming neutrality early in the Ukraine conflict, Belarus allowed Russian troops to use its territory to launch attacks against Ukraine. Many Belarusians, including senior military officers, reportedly saw this as an act of betrayal. They feared Belarus was being dragged into a war it never wanted. Military insiders now suggest that morale within the army has dropped to dangerous levels. Soldiers are said to be frustrated and confused by conflicting political signals. Some officers reportedly argue that Lukashenko has abandoned Belarusian sovereignty in exchange for Russian protection. Another element creating pressure behind the scenes is the changing stance of Russia itself. Russian President Vladimir Putin has long viewed Lukashenko as a loyal ally, but recent developments suggest Moscow may be losing patience. Some political analysts believe Russia is considering alternative political options in Belarus because Lukashenko has become increasingly unpopular and unstable. Speculation suggests that the Kremlin may choose to back another pro-Russian figure in Belarus if Lukashenko's regime collapses. This political uncertainty has caused even more fear and division among Belarusian elites and military commanders. If Russian support weakens or shifts, Lukashenko could lose the final pillar holding his regime together. Inside the country, public anger is rising once again. Economic problems have intensified. Western sanctions have damaged the Belarusian economy, unemployment is rising, and prices for essential goods continue to increase. People are frustrated with corruption and decades of authoritarian rule. Opposition groups are taking advantage of this moment by calling for nationwide demonstrations. Reports indicate that several cities have already seen small but noticeable protests. These gatherings are far smaller than the mass protests of 2020, but now something is different. Opposition organizers claim they have established communication networks inside the security forces. This increases the possibility of coordinated resistance, making the situation much more dangerous for Lukashenko. At the same time, the Belarusian KGB and Interior Ministry have increased surveillance and arrests. Opposition activists, journalists, and even students have been detained. However, this time repression seems less effective. Many younger Belarusians have rejected state propaganda, and even some government employees are reportedly leaking information to foreign media and independent news outlets. The more Lukashenko tries to tighten his grip, the more cracks seem to appear within the system. Meanwhile, international reactions are intensifying. The European Union and United States have both publicly stated that Belarus deserves free and fair elections. They have warned that any violence against protesters would result in further sanctions. On the other side, Russia is watching carefully. The Kremlin is unlikely to allow Belarus to fall into Western influence, as the country is strategically important to Russia. Belarus acts as a buffer state and key military zone between Russia and NATO. If Lukashenko falls, Russia may intervene directly to secure its interests. This possibility raises serious concerns about a larger regional conflict developing inside Eastern Europe. One of the most surprising developments is the growing involvement of Belarusian volunteers fighting against Lukashenko from outside the country. Thousands of Belarusians now live in exile, especially in Poland, Lithuania, and Ukraine. Some of them have formed military groups like the Kastus Kalinowski Regiment, which is fighting alongside Ukrainian forces. Leaders of these groups claim that once the right moment comes, they will return to Belarus and help overthrow Lukashenko's government. Their involvement could be a decisive factor if large-scale conflict breaks out inside Belarus. Amid all this chaos, one key question remains: is a revolution truly unstoppable? While reports of military defections are increasing, it is still unclear how widespread they are. So far, there have been no open mutinies or mass rebellions inside major army units. The Belarusian security services remain loyal to Lukashenko, and the government still controls national television and state communications networks. However, historical examples show how quickly a regime can collapse once military loyalty starts to weaken. If Lukashenko loses control over significant portions of the army, his regime could fall in a very short time. Opposition leader Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya, who many believe actually won the 2020 election, has announced that a transitional government is ready to take over once Lukashenko steps down. She has urged the Belarusian army not to follow illegal orders and instead protect the people. Her message has reached millions online, and she has gained increasing international recognition. The opposition's strategy now appears to be more coordinated than in previous years, with clear political goals and structured leadership. Right now, Belarus stands at a crossroads. If Lukashenko manages to crush resistance again, the country could fall into even deeper authoritarianism. But if his power truly weakens further, a dramatic shift could happen. Belarus might enter a phase of political transformation similar to what we saw in Ukraine during the Orange Revolution or Euromaidan movement. However, such transitions often come with great risk. There could be chaos, power struggles, foreign interference, and even civil conflict. It is important to remember that much of this situation is developing quickly. Some reports remain unverified due to media restrictions inside Belarus. However, the increasing number of military defections being discussed by independent analysts suggests that something significant is happening. The revolution may not yet be unstoppable, but it is gaining momentum every day. The next few weeks will be crucial. The balance of power could shift dramatically, and the future of Belarus might change forever. In conclusion, Lukashenko is facing the greatest challenge to his leadership in decades. The military is growing restless, the people are losing patience, and international pressure is increasing. Whether this leads to a peaceful political transition or a violent revolt is still unknown. But one thing is certain: Belarus is entering a historic turning point. If you want more updates on this developing situation, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming videos. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more global news and analysis.